This is One-on-One. Everything you wanted or ever needed to know about crisis management, you're about to find out. Karen Kessler's in the house, co-founder of Evergreen Partners, Inc. Good to see you.
It's nice to see you.
What is Evergreen?
Evergreen is a firm. We've been in business 20 years. We're here in New Jersey, and we're a hybrid. We do two distinct kinds of things. We have one half of our firm that does large event-based fundraising for not-for-profit organizations, meaning we raise a lot of money, millions and tens of millions of dollars for organizations all over the Northeast, some of which have been fortunate enough to have you moderate at some of the events. And the other part of our business, which is the part that I'm involved in, is what we call reputation management, meaning
Somebody's in trouble.
Somebody's in trouble, but when it's all over, you still have to have a good reputation. So it can't just be about a crisis, it has to be about a longer lifespan.
Can we talk about the second part?
Sure.
Because we'll keep helping the nonprofits and bringing them on here, because that's what we do, particularly as you know, for those of you who watch One-on-One every night on PBS, we do our series Making a Difference, and we do it in cooperation with nonprofits who are trying to make a difference. So right now, because both of us are people who work in the crisis communication field, I'm fascinated by your views. All right. Biggest mistake people make, organizations make when they get into a problem. They have a situation, there's a legal situation, there's a sexual harassment situation with the boss, there's a BP type situation. What are the two biggest mistakes they make?
I'd say two things. First of all, not taking the temperature of the situation well enough. In other words, sometimes you may think it's really hot, but the truth is it's not as hot as you think. So you can really overreact sometimes to situations. So you really have to have the ability to judge it. We call it in our office sort of having a little bit of fingertips. You have to be able to have a feel for how hot a situation it is, and therefore how much ammunition you really need to go forward. And the second is to not work in consultation. A firm like ours always works with a law firm, because you say the right thing or the wrong thing, and it can explode into a legal situation and litigation that can get you really into a lot of trouble.
All right, stay on this though, Karen, because I've been in situations in my other life, and folks who know the show know that I fully disclose every relationship. And I wrote a book a while back called What Were They Thinking? On crisis management, and all the clients were talked about in there. But most of the cases were not with clients. But I talk about my relationship with lawyers, which is often contentious in the fact that I will have said to a CEO, look, you need to disclose that mistakes were made. You need to apologize to the victims because bad stuff happened. And the lawyer sitting in the room saying, are you nuts? If you say you feel bad that so-and-so died, they're going to admit. I said, I didn't admit anything. I said, you feel bad that they died. But you say have them in the room because?
It's got to be a team approach.
Go ahead.
I mean, we are usually actually, even if a client wants us, we get retained through the law firm, because it gives us
law firm.
Absolutely, because it gives us a little bit of privilege, and I really don't want to spend my life in depositions. So it's a team approach. Do we get lawyered up, as we call it in our office? Often. Do we sometimes have statements that have to go through 42 different people and it can be frustrating? Absolutely. But in the end, there's a legal strategy, and we have to be there to support it.
But don't you have to balance, Karen, between
Of course.
the legal strategy, which is often either deny, 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 or no comment, right? Or we're not in a position to say anything. Or we have to minimize our exposure. All makes sense on one level. And on the other end, show compassion, show empathy, and show you give a damn.
I'd say two things. Clearly, I'm not so shy that I don't speak up, but I don't say what I think is important. And second thing we say to everybody is, if you're going to say no comment, why don't you just tattoo on your forehead, I'm guilty? Because that's how it appears to the public. Absolutely.
You say, hey, no comment.
I say never say it. Never use no comment.
Because the people, that sounds?
It says, I'm guilty, done.
You might as well just say.
Might as well just say it. Now, that's not to say that you can't say something somewhat innocuous.
Right.
And it's not to say that there aren't other ways of saying basically not a whole lot, but you have to appear responsive.
In the age of social media, in the age of YouTube, in the age of people walking around with their own little devices that can take pictures or whatever, in the age of Anthony Weiner, post, and a million other things. Do you ultimately assume, Karen, in your work as crisis management expert, that sooner or later it's pretty much going to become public?
Everybody's a reporter. Everybody's a journalist. Everybody with a cell phone has a camera. Everybody can tweet it out. Everybody can get it out. Absolutely, there are no secrets in the big city. None.
So how does it change your work?
Oh, hugely changes our work. I mean, from when I started in this field to now, hugely changes our work. However, You still have to have a strategy, and the strategy still has to be worked, and you cannot be on the fly. And that's one of the biggest problems we see when we're out there is something happens, people react or overreact, get it out fast, and then the reverberations just go and go. Got to have a strategy, and the earlier you can see this coming, like anything, the better off you are.
Question, because we have a mutual friend in Annette Catino, right, who is a very strong CEO at QualCare.
Indeed.
One of the few CEOs who happen to be a woman in this area. Question, from your experience, I know it's unfair, but I'll ask it anyway. She happens to be strong, tough, and just a real good decision maker. Do you sense that, in general, men and women, when it comes to making tough, hard decisions, lead and make decisions differently?
Yeah, but I think it also has to do with being a founder, which she is,
right,
versus being someone who worked their way up through a corporate structure. I think that has a lot to do with it too. I mean, it's not just, sort of the Helen Reddy syndrome of, I am woman and watch me roar, right? I think a lot of women are willing to take on certain issues more directly. I have been shocked at how many men hesitate, and in private might tell you exactly what they want to do, but hesitate to really sort of put it out there. And I think, again, it's one of those situations that really has a lot to do with how you came to this business and what your career trajectory was.
Any part of this when you are challenging, and you do challenge CEOs.
Indeed. That
some folks are more willing to handle, when Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson, in A Few Good Men.
Yeah.
I want the truth.
Right.
You can't handle the truth.
Right.
You find a lot of CEOs, they can't handle your truth.
We start every assignment sort of the same way, which is we say, it's sort of like being a doctor. We're like a proctologist. We're going to go right up your rear.
Did you have to go with proctologist?
That's just where we go. And we say, and you got to give it all out to me now. And if you can't start out that first meeting giving it all to me, and if I find out 2/3 of the way through the assignment that there was all kinds of stuff that wasn't there, we can't do that anymore. Because in the end, the reason that we're good at what we do is we have the integrity and we have the relationships with the media. And we have the ability to really be honest. And I'm not going to sit there and make up a story that's not true. And if you're going to make it up and tell me something that's not true, this is not about fairy tales. There's just too much out there, too much at stake.
Real quick before I let you out here on the nonprofit side. A lot of nonprofits we work with say, isn't it enough that we just do a good job and we help people? And, why should we be involved in branding and marketing and promoting ourselves? And you say?
Oh, listen, I have to say, if there ever was an industry or a field that really had to struggle and reposition themselves, it's a not-for-profit community in times of economic difficulty. And I would say, my partner, Mindy Cohen, who works with these folks day in, day out, says, if you have these big events and you don't use it as an opportunity to put your message out about what you really do, but instead spend all your time worrying about the color of the tablecloths and, the kind of band you're going to have, you've missed an opportunity to really cement those relationships.
Nonprofits are businesses.
They're businesses with an unbelievably heart-rending message, but they're not anybody's first. They're everybody's second. And you've got to really, everybody's second, meaning the people that they're really looking for support from are also doing other things. They have other careers, they have other families, they have other corporate commitments. You got to really make them understand what you're all about.
It's good stuff, because a lot of organizations are like, what do you mean, you're not thinking about us? No, we're thinking about a million other things. You have to remind me that you're even there.
Absolutely.
Karen Kessler, co-founder of a great firm called Evergreen Partners. I want to thank you for being with us.
Too fast, too easy.
I know. But also disclose you are the chair of the board of?
Atlantic Health, and very proud to do so.
Just want to get that out there. Karen, thank you so much for joining us and teaching us.
You're very welcome.
Great job.
It was
Come
fun.
on. This is the best show on PBS, no?
The best show on PBS.
And if we have a problem.
Who's Charlie Rose? Who is he?
Don't say anything about Charlie. We're on after him. We'll get canceled.
Who is he?
By the way, if we have a problem, could we call you?
Anytime.
Stay with us. We'll be right back after this. We have no problems. I'm just joking,
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Barnabas Health, QualCare Inc., the law firm of Gibbons PC, Verizon Communications, and by TD Bank. Promotional support provided by The Record, North Jersey's trusted source, and NorthJersey.com. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been produced in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System.